I'm Sydney. I'm 17 years old. I live in Toronto, Canada, and I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. Basically, I'm posting this video because I am sick of this group just kind of skating by and doing so much harm, and everyone kind of ignores it because they're a really passive group the way they present themselves. They present themselves as a very passive group to the world. Basically, they're a cult because I'm not saying that to suggest that any other religion isn't a cult. I'm just specifically focusing in on this one. The most popular one everyone knows is that they don't allow people in the faith to get blood transfusions, and they even encourage people not to do them. And it really scares me because a lot of my family is part of this, and I'm worried that one day I'll get some call and they've had some horrific accident and they're just going to be content to die because getting a blood transfusion is just this awful, immoral act, and it's absurd. And it's encouraged in this terrible, terrible group. Just because a specific act is a part of someone's religion, it doesn't mean that that act has to be respected, because in this religion there are many acts that are harmful and really need to be addressed and criticized. And as a lot of people who were part of this religion they joined later in life, but a lot of people were born into it, like me, and raised into it, and raised in this religion. And sometimes people like me decide later in life they don't want to be part of this group and their ridiculous ideologies, and those people get shunned. And in other terms, it's called disfellowship, which is just their word for shunning people, which is no contact with people, even if they are family members. And on several occasions, I have told people this, and they say, "No, that's crazy. Your mom really wouldn't do that." And I think you could only ever really understand this if you were part of this group, because yes, they do. And it's not to say that a little part of them isn't sad that they won't see their family member anymore, but they wholeheartedly believe that they're doing the right thing by shunning their family members and their children, and they believe it's the right thing to do. Another one of the big things that scares me about this group is that it is the type of group where there's no gradation among its followers. Everyone is just as extreme as the person sitting next to them, and it's terrifying. And in this group, people are encouraged really not to think for themselves. This is the type of group where years from now, if I picked up a newspaper and read Jehovah's Witnesses mass suicide, I would not be surprised, because they follow the word of their elders and their governing bodies so readily, without question, and it's terrifying. A term in a lot of religions, and really a big one in this one, is apostate. And it's someone to them who speaks against their religion, or anyone to them, it's anyone who just doesn't agree with what they're saying. It's really funny because they see everyone who speaks against their religion as an apostate, basically anyone who disagrees with them, which is basically anyone who's not mentally ill. This is from a Watchtower, which is just like one of their publications that they send out to their people, from July of 2011, so really not a long time ago. Apostates quietly bring their ideas into the congregation, like criminals who secretly bring things into a country. They use counterfeit words. They say things that make their false ideas sound true, like criminals who make false documents look real. They're called mentally diseased people. And there's one from John 8, chapter 8, verse 44. Satan was the first creature to turn to an apostate. Modern-day apostates display characteristics similar to those of the devil, which is just so absurd. And it's their mind may be poisoned by a critical attitude toward individuals in the congregation, Christian elders, or the governing body. And it goes on, just a bunch of bullshit. They are not interested in learning about Jehovah or serving him. Like their father Satan, apostates target people of integrity. So, and this is just constantly being thrown in the faces of people part of this group. So, I mean, it's not surprising that they readily ignore how ridiculous everything that they're learning really is. the reason I believe that I wouldn't be surprised if one day they just suddenly all killed themselves or did anything ridiculous like that, because the people in the religion so readily follow every single word that is forced down their throats, and it's really, really unsettling. A Watchtower magazine that they published in November 2013, just a few years ago, this article is basically saying, from chapter 13, it continues to say, "We should not use the imperfections of those who take the lead among us today as an excuse to murmur against them or to ignore their authority. Jehovah expects us to respect such brothers and to obey them." That's kind of unsettling. And 14 goes on to say, "Obedience to those who today are taking the lead among us is vital." So there's just this constant encouragement of listening to the elders and listening to what they tell you to do and listening to what the government body is telling you to do. And it's just harmful. And the Jehovah's Witnesses live in this little bubble, this, as well as constantly being told not to listen to apostates. They live in this bubble because they see on their website, I found they define it as, it's no surprise, like sometimes on the outside you sit and wonder, hey, these people have all this information, all of this science in front of them and logic, and they ignore it. Well, because they're in this bubble where they're constantly being fed over and over again every day by this garbage, and twice a week they're there for a few hours, and it's no surprise that these people are enabled to think for themselves and why they so readily run away from external information. And another funny thing is that the people in this religion literally refer to themselves as the truth. And it's not even just a published term, it's a conversational term. Say someone would go, so-and-so has left the truth, or oh, she joined the truth. The truth is another term for them. It could, just in place of Jehovah's Witnesses to them. It's kind of funny if you think about it, that it's such a fragile and soft word, but the way it's used constantly suggests that they are what's right, they are what's true, and it's much more harmful than it comes across. Attempt to remain objective and I don't include my profound hatred for this religion, but I think I really need to get it out because it drives me crazy. And it's odd when you do come to the realization that you don't want to be part of this religion anymore, it's hard to have to come to terms with the fact that you're essentially giving up your family, or I guess your family's giving you up, because I think I'm sick of them so passively just sitting by and being ignored by the world because they are harmful and they are wrong, and more people should be allowing people to get hurt from that religion, because that is